Hi guys, Ebird Online here, and I'm back with another review from before the 90 days. So this is part 2 of the review Secret, I've Got a Secret, and today I'm going to be focusing on Tom and Darcy and Benjamin and Akinyi. As you can imagine from my video yesterday, where I flipped my lid on Tom, I have a lot to say about he and Darcy. I'm also having a few fairly negative thoughts on Benjamin and Akinyi's relationship, and so before I get right into it, I'm just going to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much to all those who have subscribed already, and also thank you so much for all of the messages that I've been receiving. At some point I'm going to do a video and I'm going to read out the best of the messages and I'm going to pick through them and we'll have a little chat. So any thoughts that you have on any of these couples, make sure you put it in the comments. So let's get the show on the road. I'm going to start off with Benjamin and Akinyi. So we start off with them going for a walk in her area. And as I've said previously, it's in quite a poor part of Nairobi. And whilst we're on that topic, people have been getting into my comments and saying that I'm trying to run Nairobi down and say that it's a shanty town and that it's really poor. I've spent an awful lot of time in Africa, although I haven't actually been to Kenya. And I do realise the same as in England and the same as in America, one part of the city is beautiful and rich and the other part of the city is, how can I say it, less so. So just because I say where Akinyi lives looks quite poor doesn't mean that I think the whole of Nairobi or the whole of Kenya is quite poor. Every city has a rich part. Every city has a rich part and a poor part. She's walking around her area and she comments that there's never been a white person in her neighbourhood, although how she knows this I will never know. Have you seen every single person that's ever been in your neighbourhood? And I do think in some ways Akinyi seems obsessed with Benjamin's whiteness. She's always touching his skin and saying, "You are so white, you are so white," and noting the differences of his body hair, etc, etc. And she says to us, Benjamin fascinates some people in her area. Akinyi, Benjamin fascinates you. So as he's walking around, I guess people are looking, but I can definitely tell that Akinyi likes it. I can see in her face she's thinking, wow, he's so different. Akinyi, you have more in common than you think, if not least your bank balance. So she tells Benjamin all of the rules that he has to do at dinner. And she said, you have to sit next to my brother, you have to sit on the left, don't hold my hand, and don't wink. What? Don't wink? Her family have got Benjamin down as a winker. I don't know that joke's going to really translate in America, but never mind. But it's the next thing that Akinyi says to Benjamin that really got my goat. She said, make sure that you eat everything that's on your plate. When people come over for dinner, we have expensive foods like fish and chicken, which we don't often have. So he said, I should finish most of what's on my plate. She was like, yeah, well, everything that's on your plate. I don't want you to be seen to be wasting money. Akinyi, Benjamin, who has no money himself, who has a child to look after, has taken 2 weeks off work. He has flown 9,300 miles to meet you. And when he arrived, what did you tell him? Oh, the hotel or Airbnb, whatever it was that he booked, is not going to be needed because you're going to spend the whole of your stay living with my brother. What about the money that you have wasted of Benjamin's, Akinyi? What about that money? Is Benjamin's money less important than your money? So that kind of irritated me. I'm beginning to see a slightly selfish side of her. Yeah, I'm just not sure. The jury's out on Akinyi. I'm really not sure. And then she tells us she doesn't know what her parents will think about her dating a white person. So if they don't like it, Benjamin will go back to America, a single man. Akinyi, it possibly would have been better for you to embark on the subject before they had to meet Benjamin. Also, when you're giving him a health and safety risk assessment of what he is and isn't allowed to do at your house, don't make it sound like it's life or death, because that's going to make an already nervous Benjamin even more nervous. So it's here, finally, the night is upon us. The night that Benjamin meets Akinyi's parents. He walks in and everybody's sitting there. He's so nervous after Akinyi's shenanigans that he forgets to say hi and he forgets to introduce himself. Akinyi, this is where you step in. You introduce and you grease the wheels of conversation if it falls flat. Akinyi's mum does not look happy. Akinyi's brother tells us that her dad will be late for dinner and that he will see them later. So they sit down to eat dinner and they give him a whole fish. Her brother says, have you ever eaten a whole fish before? And he said no, which I was quite surprised at. But I guess we eat whole fish, so it doesn't seem that weird to me. But apparently, in Kenya they like to eat the fish brain. I don't eat the brain, I don't eat the eyes, I find it quite weird. However, Benjamin made a good go of it. He started picking the meat and eating it. But bizarrely enough, Akinyi stood over him the whole time he was eating. So it was like Benjamin's eating on his own and everyone's standing around watching him. It was so weird. No wonder he felt nervous. I was kind of cringing for him. So he managed to have a chat with Akinyi's mum in the end, and although it was all quite awkward, things were set to get more awkward because Baba Akinyi decides he's not coming for the dinner. So he actually didn't even show. So Benjamin's travelled 9,000 miles. And to say Benjamin was nervous was an understatement. Her brother also said he's not sure about Benjamin's culture, and if Benjamin hasn't got the same culture, he doesn't think he's the right man for Akinyi. And at this point, I just have to say, grow the F up. The world over, we all eat different food. When I finished university, I went to live in China for a year, and I imagined that Chinese food would be sweet and sour sauce, and egg fried rice, black bean sauce, and MSG, just like it is in the UK. But what a shock I was in for. When I actually got to China, I realised that their food bears only a passing resemblance to the food they serve us here. But within about 2 weeks, I got completely used to eating shark's fin soup and all of the different things the Chinese had to offer. It really isn't that big of a deal. If Benjamin was to stay in Kenya for 2 months, he'd end up just eating Kenyan food. Some of it he would like, some of it he would not like, and it would just be normal. And honestly, at this point, the brother's making mountains out of molehills. No, he hasn't eaten fish brain before. Do you know what? So haven't a lot of people. What's the big deal? So then once the meal had finished and they were outside, Akinyi was super peed off, and she said that her brother had made a secret comment and she wouldn't tell Benjamin or me what that secret comment was. And she seemed extremely nervous, and she said to Benjamin, "You really need to charm my brother." So we have two takeaways from this. Benjamin's not supposed to feel peed off that Baba Akinyi couldn't be bothered to go and see him. Benjamin's also not supposed to feel peed off that people are making secret comments about him, which Akinyi can't tell him. At this point, I feel Benjamin's being a little bit disrespected, and I'm honestly not here for it. As far as I'm concerned, since he's been there, he's been very polite, he's been very respectful of Akinyi. He hasn't moaned. He failed to moan when he had to go and stay with her brother. He failed to moan at this secret comment. He failed to moan that Baba Akinyi didn't bother turning up for the dinner. He failed to moan when he was forced to eat fish brains. I think he's done really well. Akinyi, you need to pull your socks up and you need to get your priorities straight. If you like Benjamin, as you say you like him, and you want to go to the US, start being a little more considerate. Anyway, enough of those two. I guess we'll find out what this secret comment was in the next episode. Next up, Tom and Darcy. So we catch up with them and they're at the Airbnb, and Darcy's very happy because Tom has graciously agreed to cancel chartering the yacht off the coast of the Canary Islands and decided to go to Albania. But remember guys, only if he can stay in a suite, dickhead. And then Darcy's also very cock-a-hoop because she's finally shagged Tom. She says now that they've taken this next step, it's brought them much, much closer together. And Tom manages to get in, that he got it in, and he went all night. Yeah, right, Tom. If you guys haven't seen my video from yesterday, please make sure, as a matter of urgency, you go and watch it, because Tom cannot even lie straight in bed. So as they're walking around London, they stop and they look in the window of jewellers. And again, Darcy makes some ham-fisted comments about getting a ring, and she's telling Tom what diamond she would like. She's not bothered by the size. And with Tom, I think that's just as well, on more than just the diamond. But she just wants the clarity. I can be very clear for you, Darcy. Tom's a liar. And she drops, as usual, very heavy-handed hints about getting married. Tom drops equally heavy-handed hints, saying he's simply not interested. Tom, stop wasting Darcy's time. Let the girl go. And later on, back at the apartment, we see Darcy struggling into her shapewear, and she's trying to zip it up. Tom gives her a hand, and as Tom's doing up Darcy's patent trousers, he sees a little bit too much. Darcy asks, "Oh my god, did you see some crack?" And Tom gave an embarrassed nod. "Be careful, Tom. Crack kills." They're getting dressed up, you see. Tom looks like a boohoo man. Where are they going, you ask? Well, you might ask. They're going out to meet some of Tom's old friends. So they turn up at the bar, and Tom introduces these very good friends. Now, my video yesterday goes into this in a little bit of detail, but it's a really strange dynamic. Tom lets us know that Rochelle was a girl that he'd dated for 5 years. So that's a very intense relationship, 5 years. Tom seems to want trouble. Why ever would you introduce your ex-girlfriend to your next girlfriend? You are asking for trouble. And Tom tells us she knows me really well. Not that well, because apparently according to you, she wasted 5 years on you. So really, not that well. Rochelle wasted no time in trying to dig Darcy out. And Tom just sat by, sipping his drink and treating it as if it were a spectator sport. And I gotta tell you, this Rochelle girl, as she was talking and laughing with her friend and Tom, pretty much at Darcy's expense, she seemed like she was 3 sheets to the wind. And for my American viewers, that means horribly, horribly drunk. So Darcy looks really uncomfortable. And Rochelle starts saying, I don't mean to be blunt, but like, what's happening between you? They haven't had these chats, and you know they haven't. What's the state of your relationship? Are you boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you exclusive? Rochelle, it's none of your goddamn business. He said, do you love her? Do you love her? Is she the one? Rochelle, it's only been 6 days since they met. Love can grow. They need to get to know each other. Darcy begins to look really emotional and quite upset. But this doesn't stop Rochelle. She tells us, Tom's quite a player. Again, I don't believe it. Tom's socially inept. I do not believe he's a player. I believe I have a sixth sense for a player. And I don't believe in Tom that I see it. That's all. And then she also tells him he's disconnected with his emotions. And you're an open book, so you're going to need a lot of patience. He's been engaged twice apparently, and both the girls left him. So this has made him hold back in relationships. He doesn't want to get hurt again, you see. Rochelle, I'm sure he was hurt every time he looked at your boat race. And then later on, Rochelle tells Tom that she doesn't see him with Darcy. He doesn't think that she's the one. And poor Darcy, I feel like Tom and Rochelle are crapping on her from a great height. Rochelle's little mate that she's got there as well is laughing along. And it feels at this point like everyone's bullying Darcy. I've said it before, I like Darcy, I want Darcy to win, but I think she's in a relationship with a liar and a person with whom she can't win. So apparently Rochelle was not his ex-girlfriend. Apparently Rochelle doesn't really even know Tom that well. They're just acquaintances, and she played the part just for before the 90 days. So if that is true, here's the big problem. 1, it seems that Darcy isn't in on this, and you made Darcy feel really uncomfortable. And secondly, why have you got her saying she's not right for you, she's not the one, she's not the one? She didn't come up with that on her own. Tom, this is what you, in your phone call to her before you met up, have instructed her to say. You've instructed her to say you're a player. You are not. You've instructed her to say that your emotions are closed. You've instructed her to say, are you boyfriend and girlfriend? Are you exclusive? She will know that anyway. And you have instructed her to say, I don't think she's the one. I don't think she's for you. So really, you're trying to tell everyone Darcy isn't the one for me, and you're trying to go around the houses by saying it. Don't bother, be direct, be a man, and just tell Darcy, Darcy, you're too much for me, I don't feel like it's going to work. Have a real chat with Darcy. And this scene wound me up so much, that's why I decided to eviscerate Tom, and that's why I decided to do my separate video on Tom's top 10 lies. I want you all to listen, because it shows what a devious and heartless little character he is. Is Darcy crazy? Yes. Are you helping matters? No, you're not. Leave the girl alone. Phew, rant over. I'm so glad I got it all off my chest because it had to be coughed up and spat out, just like Tom. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think. Is Akinyi and her family disrespectful towards Benjamin? Or do you think that Benjamin is just an inept human being who can't deal with situations? Do you think that Tom is a liar? And do you think that he's massively set up Darcy with this so-called ex-girlfriend? If it is true that it's his ex-girlfriend, don't bring your ex to your next. If it isn't true, why are you lying for? Either way, Tom, you're in the wrong as far as I'm concerned. But guys, let me know what you think. Thank you so much to everybody that's subscribing. My subscriber count has gone through the roof in the last couple of weeks, and I'm super grateful. I'm glad you guys like the reviews that I'm doing. If there's anything else that you want me to review, if there's anyone else that you would like me to do an expose on, let me know. That's everything from me. Stay tuned for part 3. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.